Hi guys, Andy here. I've been using my LeTV L1S for probably about a week, I think. So, as I said in my unboxing, here is the review and my opinions of the device. So, I bought it from a website called Honorbuy. A lot of people will go to GearBest and maybe AliExpress because their prices look a little bit cheaper. But I've heard a lot of bad reports about those sites, so I really wouldn't recommend it. My own experience using both of them was not great. I bought a Chinese device from AliExpress, and it came with plenty of malware on it. I had to flash a new ROM. And twice I've tried to order a device from GearBest, and both times it was just sat on processing for like 9 days and 10 days until I just cancelled them. Or I ordered from Honorbuy. I think literally it came. I was amazed how quick it came. I think it was 3 days maybe. Anyway, so the LeTV L1S cost me £170 all in, well, 172, including shipping and everything. That was from the European warehouse, which means I didn't have any risk of paying any import tax. The device, if I started with sort of the design, it's an all-over metal body. It's got an interesting colour. So I guess, is that rose gold? I don't know how well it shows on the camera, but it's kind of a pinkish gold. I think it looks really quite nice. There's a slight soft touch feel to the back, but there is kind of a weird sort of edge. You probably can't hear, but it's like a weird edge to the device. It's not rounded at all. It just feels, I don't know, it just feels like literally someone's just chopped it and then, yeah, that'll do, off you go. And also I've noticed when I've had the device in my pocket, sometimes colour has kind of rubbed into this sort of soft touchy metal. I mean, it rubs off fairly easily, but I did notice a couple of times like a bit of colour just down there. As with a lot of devices, the fingerprint sensor in the middle of the back. I think someone else on a different video sort of pointed out you could perhaps use it to line yourself up for a selfie, because then you can use the fingerprint sensor to trigger the camera. It's not as quick as some others, so I'll try and give you a demo. I mean, that's not bad. It's not a problem. You're not sort of hanging around thinking, when's this thing going to unlock? But it's just not quite. When you do it next to even the Redmi Note 3, it's just not as quick. You'll see each time there, it worked fine. Unlocked, I've done it 3 times. It's worked perfectly each time. What I found the problem is when you're not looking at it. So whatever, maybe you're waiting to put something in, and you sort of reach for it. Okay, so I did get it there. I seem to miss this one. I don't know why, if it's slightly higher than others or what it might be. I seem to miss it more than I have with other devices. Maybe the kind of metal cutout is a slightly lower profile, I'm not sure. And I just found it not quite as reliable as some of the others. As you see here, if you get your finger on it, not a problem. And I've managed to register the same finger twice. It does, so you do the normal sort of procedure, and then I said, okay, well, I'm going to register, because it wasn't going so well. I thought I'm going to register the same finger again, and quite often it does say you've already registered that finger, so you try again, and basically I was able to find positions which made it think it was a different finger, and I managed to register it twice, and I think that has helped. Oh, I'm already on. I think that's helped a little bit. But I mean, as you can see, that's, if when you get it full on, no problems at all. I quite like the sort of invisible buttons down the bottom, so you don't actually see them until you press them. If you can see them on the camera. But at the same time, those 2 outside buttons, they just seem a little bit inwards to me. Maybe they should be slightly further towards the edge. So I think quite a few times I've tried to press on the outside there, and it's not. It doesn't work out there, look. There we go. Not a big problem. Even the home button, sometimes I think I've pressed too low and it's not worked. Not a massive problem. They maybe should have moved them out slightly and made it a bigger, more sensitive area. Maybe. Not a huge issue. One thing I do very much like is they've gone with the USB Type-C charging point. Now, it's a little bit, you might argue it's a bit of a negative at the moment because, well, who's got that many USB-C charging cables at this point? Everyone's got micro USB coming out of their ears and very little USB-C. But at the same time, it is better technology. It is nice not having to check which way around it is, just jam it on in there. So I give them credit for that, and it does. We'll talk about charging in a little while. It does help though with the charging. So all in all, I think it's a beautiful looking phone. I think it's one of the nicest phones, probably even on the market. Am I going a bit over the top there? It really is a beautiful looking device. So the design, I think they've hit it out of the park. The whole feel of it, the general. I mean, like I said, just a slight edge there, bit of an issue, and I don't think it's Gorilla Glass. So I guess be careful. I mean, it may be some third-party, unbranded, tough glass, but it's not the Gorilla that we know on many top-end devices. But it is only £172. The hardware itself, the screen is 1920 by 1080 on the 5-inch IPS LCD screen. It does 403 pixels per inch. And generally, I would say it looks very good. It does seem to... Yeah, I mean, I've had the... Whoopsie. I've had the brightness down a bit there. It does seem to tend to end up looking a little bit dim at times, and I'm never sure. I haven't turned the brightness down, so I'm not quite sure how it's ended up down there. But all in all, I would say it's a pretty good screen. 403 pixels per inch, if I didn't mention it. The hardware behind the screen is a MediaTek MT6795 Helio X10 chipset and an octa-core 2.2 GHz Cortex-A53 CPU with a PowerVR G6200 GPU, 32 GB of storage and 3 GB of RAM. It actually scores higher on Geekbench than my Note 5, or it has. I scored a 5,400 at one point. My Note 5 never got that high, which is kind of surprising. But it shows, the raw power. The raw power within the device, very good. It has a dual SIM card slot, so if you've got a micro or a nano, you can pop either one of them in, or I guess you can put two in. I'll be honest, I haven't tried because I haven't really got two SIM cards. And finally on hardware, as you might expect, it's not got NFC and it's not got wireless charging, which is a shame. I mean, I do wonder how much they would cost to add in. So NFC, I guess you're paying a license for that. If it was only £5 or £6, I'd be quite happy to pay £5 or £6 more. Would it add to the thickness of the device, though? Maybe. The wireless charging, almost definitely, but not by much. And it would make quite a difference. So it just, I don't know, if it's only 172, if it had been 200 with NFC and wireless charging, I think that would have been quite different. Then if we mention the camera, so it's a 13 megapixel camera on the rear, 5 megapixel on the front. I've talked about the rear camera mainly though. So I read somewhere, it may have been just on an internet forum, someone mentioned it had the same camera module as the Galaxy S6. I'm not sure I can believe that. I don't think they're quite as crisp as I would imagine if that was the case. But they're reasonable results. The majority of the photos I took, you would look at and say, yeah, they're pretty good. Every now and then, if the light was slightly low, it might have a slight blur to it. Having said that, photos in low light, I did a very, very dark photo. It's not too bad. There's a bit of noise, as I guess you would expect, but on the whole, it wasn't too bad. But perhaps not totally reliable if there wasn't amazing light. And obviously, in the last week or so, it's been pretty dull around London, so I've not had great opportunities to really test it in some nice bright light with some bright colours. It's all been a bit grey generally. The video's okay, like the photos. It does seem to lack video stabilisation of any kind, though, and it does really look quite jumpy and jerky. But the actual image quality isn't too bad. It's reasonable for a £172 device. There's even actually 4K video shooting, but I've got to be honest, I kind of forgot that was there, and I haven't filmed any. I mean, I've not really got anything to watch it back on to see exactly how good it is anyway, but I will try and get some filmed and uploaded at some point in the next couple of days, even just a very brief sample. So far, I would say generally it's all pretty good for a £172 device. Then we're going to move on to the software. Now, I've got Nova Launcher installed on here because basically I can't stand the sort of iOS style launcher that a lot of Chinese devices have. You can't have widgets. It just plonks. You've got no app tray. Just plonks all your. I honestly don't know how iPhone users cope. Well, not that they cope, but I just couldn't do it. I'm too used to having widgets and such to interact with. I should point out, a lot of the time you buy these devices, they will come with the Google Play Store on, but it's not installed into the system. It's installed just as a regular app. So the first thing I did was factory reset the device to make sure it was fresh install, and that wiped away the Google Play Store. That's not that hard to put back though. You can put it back in less than 10 minutes. I've got a video that's only about 4 minutes long, which takes you through the process. I'll try and remember to link it so you can click on it as you're watching this. And then you can go ahead and install something like Nova Launcher to hide the weird launcher that comes with it. I actually quite like the control center, so pressing the app switcher button in the corner brings you to the control center. Along the top, you've got a lot of things like settings, camera, calculator, torch, all variety of things, compass look, all variety of things like that. I think because there's an IR, I missed that, sorry, there's an IR blaster on the top. Again, I haven't totally figured the IR blaster on this. We've got a widget for the music, we've got the screen brightness toggle. We've got the auto brightness button there, and again you can change the order of these buttons, look. But I've made sure I've got Wi-Fi, I've got Bluetooth. I should have connected to Wi-Fi really. Then down at the bottom is the actual app switching bit. Now I'm sure I saw somewhere you can change the size of that bit, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it works in maybe. I was sure I opened it in landscape at one point, and it. Nope, that must have been my imagination. Do apologise. As you can with most, you can swipe away, or you can lock something in place. Now, literally only about an hour ago, and I'll come to why it might be important in a moment, but I found that actually when you lock it in place, I think it locks it in memory as well. But yeah, you can just swipe things away as you might expect, or you can switch to. And I actually quite like that implementation. When I sort of got the hang of remembering that's where Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, it's not in there. That is purely just notifications. Then I actually, I quite like that. I don't know if you saw that. I took a second press to get it to open. So option, so in somewhere in the settings there is actually an option as well. I thought it was quite cool to let you power down the device. Can I? Oh, dual apps. Yeah, I haven't really tried it. There's only the one app there. It'll allow you to log into 2 accounts in different versions of the same installed app, but I guess it's got to be kind of built into the app because I've only got that one that's that will allow it. Power on and off settings, look. So schedule power. I quite like this sort of thing. So it could be quite handy to every night shut your phone down at 12 and bring it back up at 5. I like the sort of fresh restart that gives you. So I just thought it interesting that it was there. A lot of the usual stuff in settings otherwise, really. App settings. I think this is where you can set the sort of default. Oh no, I don't want to do that. So let's not worry. Oh no, it's just the actual settings for the apps themselves. Sorry. You do tend to find a lot of these Chinese phones. They really do have a lot of settings, a lot more than sort of definitely standard Google Android devices. I don't particularly like that you can't really show it. Actually, that's more than I've normally seen. Have I had an update? So normally I'm only getting one line, and even if I try and drag down, it's not showing me more. So it's kind of weird that is showing me more at this point. How else can I show that?
Being totally rational.
Yeah, I mean actually that one, that one always has had the follow up. So maybe I did read again on the internet that there was an update that had just come through. How can I test that? I can't really without getting another notification. So, okay, maybe that's not an issue. I was trying to expand down to get the rich notification. Yeah, I'm sure I haven't seen this before. I've tried to get it, but it's there now. Bizarre. Okay, so that's one of my negatives removed, I guess. Now, other things I've had is and I kind of was referencing to it earlier. It seems to shut apps down even when I'm using them. So I use Google Fit quite a lot. I've even started, when I go to the gym, you can start an activity. Where is it? There. And you can tell it, there you go, so you can tell it, right, I'm weightlifting, and you just press start. So it just so it records how long I'm weightlifting for, and it tracks it as part of my daily activity. I've done it for weightlifting, I've done it for cycling when I'm on the stationary bike. And on both occasions, just before I'm about to go and tell it, right, I've just finished, it's not there. It's not running anymore. So, yeah, I can delete it away. So start up the app.
Session started.
And then in the notification, there is that it's, it's recording that I'm running. No, that I'm lifting, And I should be able to tap that and go back into the app. And as I've done that, after sort of, I think on both occasions, about 26 minutes later, I've gone back in, and it's just not there in the notification bar.
Session paused.
And I've no idea what happens. I've gone into Google Fit again, and it's imagine, it's just looking like Google Fit does with the dial. But it has recorded about 25 minutes each time. So it literally, I've been a minute too late apparently, and it's just killed the app. Now, whether or not, as I say, I read just today, if I lock it into place, that stops it from being killed. I'm not entirely sure. And I did wonder, should I use the phone for it? But I'm not going to be in the gym for a little while, 2 minutes now. And I thought I need to move. I've got other phones waiting, unfortunately. So I'd really appreciate if someone else can tell me if they've tried that, or if they've noticed this happening to them, or maybe they can let us know. But it was a bit of a worry. And likewise, or in a similar way, I'm used to doing the old, OK, Google, set timer for 3 minutes. And it's as simple as that when it hears me.
3 minutes, starting.
So this one has started the timer. That's what should happen. Today I put my dinner on. OK, Google, set timer for 13 minutes. And to be honest, I should have checked, I should have looked. I came back to my computer, I was checking some emails. I looked back, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was just on the screen just before this one, saying set timer for 13 minutes. And then it had like the clock icon. And if I tapped the clock icon, if I'd realised, it would have come to this app, and I think it would have started it. But it didn't, and I don't even know how long it was till I noticed. So I had to go and just watch my dinner until it was ready to come out. But then what I did do, when I was putting my chips in the deep fat fryer, and I needed 3 minutes, I did that. I went and sat down and watched the TV. Now, luckily, I kind of realised, actually, let me go and check the chip. Oh, yeah, the chips are ready. Right, take them out. And I didn't think. I came back, sat back down, started eating. 4 minutes later, it started beeping. And it even said something like minus 4 minutes and 4 minutes, 1 second, 4 minutes, 2. I thought, what on earth is it? Why has it done that? So I don't know what happened there. I mean, I've noticed it with other devices, but it's normally only about 10 seconds. It kind of starts alarm 10 seconds. I don't know why. I don't know what leads it to do that. But it worried me a little bit. Finally, similarly on notifications. Now, you might have seen I did have a Hangout message. I tried to swipe it away in case there's anything personal in there, but there was a Hangout message. Now, I got 3 Hangout messages today, and it wasn't until I came home and I saw them on my browser, in Google Mail, little icon in the top corner on my computer, that I went, I've got some messages. I looked back at the device, there's no notification at all. One of them was at 7:30 this morning, and I'm finding it at 5:30 this evening. I don't know, to me that's not acceptable. I don't know why it did that. I don't know what the reasoning was, but emails seem to come through fine. I suppose I can't be sure sort of how late they come perhaps, but I do get a lot of notifications about emails, so that doesn't seem to be an issue. But text messages and such seems to be a little bit hit or miss, and that's not really, I don't know. They're not even important text messages for me, probably. They're probably all personal stuff. Anyone that's running a business or whatever, I don't know, it might be important. That's probably quite key. So, yeah, for me, there's some big issues in the sort of reliability of the software. I'm going to move on to talk about the battery. And again, unfortunately, this is not another good point. So it's got a 3,000 milliamp hour non-removable battery, because obviously how do you get into that? I wouldn't say it holds up very well at all. I did a sort of a new test where I set the screen to 300 flux or lumens, or however you want to call it, on this, the Redmi Note 3 and my Note 5, and this came out worse out of all of them. I think it went to like 91, I can't remember, 88, 86 for battery left after an hour of doing stuff. And even if, I noticed just now, look, it's on 32%, so it came off charge probably about 6:30 this morning. Oh, see, I still went to the wrong. If we look now, that's power on off, not actual power. Battery, there we go. So battery usage, 14 hours. That's about right. So 14 hours, but we've burnt through 2/3 of it. There are power saving options, look, but we can go to battery usage. So, I mean, what's my screen on time? 46 minutes. Now, that's not a lot at all. I know there's people out there that will be clocking up kind of, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours screen on time. Looking at this going, what the hell? So with 46 minutes, I'm only going to get 21 hours battery life. Now, I do have pretty much everything else turned on. Look, keep away. That can't be right. 11 hours it's been kept awake by the operating system. But I use all the location stuff. I use Google Now. I do make the most of my device. In that I think I'm a light user because I've only got 42 hours screen on time. I do have all the other stuff turned on that people generally turn off because they want to try and save battery. No, I'd rather have all the functionality. But, yeah, as you can see, 32, I wouldn't expect. Most of the devices I use are still going to be at 40, 50, even 60% of this kind of time a day when I've only had 40-odd minutes screen on time. Now, on the flip side, when I was doing one of my comparisons yesterday, I realised that it was down to 28% or something, again, quite late in the day. And I thought, actually, no, it was even down to 20, sorry. And I thought, well, that's a bit low. It might do some kind of throttling, or it might do some kind of power saving mode, or even if it doesn't, some people might be asking that when I'm doing comparisons and benchmarks and stuff. So I plugged it in for literally, I would have guessed it was about 10 to 15 minutes. And it was shot up to about 46% in that time. I was really quite impressed by that. I mean, it is only a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and it does take the old USB Type-C, which uses more volts and watts and amps and all that malarkey, 3 amps, I think. So I guess it's to be expected, but it was quite impressive how quickly it charged up. So although the battery is not massively powerful or long-lasting, actually the quick charge is really very good. So the conclusion from all of that, quite a mixed bag. It does feel good. It's got a premium build quality. I think it looks great. So in that respect, people are looking at your device will be quite impressed probably, and especially you could probably tell them it was a £300 device, and they'd be quite happily to. In fact, they'd probably think, "Oh, that's not a bad price," and actually, you've paid almost half that. It is slick and smooth. It benchmarks great. The camera's okay. I think it's probably good enough for most people. But for me, the battery wasn't very good. The fingerprint reader wasn't particularly, even though, look, it's working almost every time I'm trying it right now. I did more than with most devices. I found myself having to take my finger off and try again to make it, maybe like so if I slide on, yeah, it's worked there, but yeah, look at that, it's perfect. Now it's on camera, it's behaving. And the big thing I think was just the notifications. I don't know quite what had happened because I think, as you saw, one came through and it notified me straight away. But if your notifications aren't reliable, I don't know, and you kind of sort of can't trust your device. That for me, that's quite a big negative. So all in all, £172. I think it is still a good buy. I think you just need to be prepared that there will be a few imperfections, and it won't be. I'll be very interested to hear from others about battery life because I know, like I said, I do have everything turned on. So please let me know your thoughts on battery life if you have one of these devices. I don't quite know why you might be watching my review if you do, but do let us know. Or maybe you've watched a review, then you buy one and you want to come back and say, actually, Andy, I got 40 hours life out of mine. And that's great. I'd love, because if, like I say, I probably have more things turned on than most people, so it'd be good to know some other viewpoints. So all in all, yeah, it's a pretty good buy. Would I go for this or the Redmi Note 3? Oh, because I think they both suffer in some ways from the same software issues. Oh, this one I didn't really mention, but it has the whole, it keeps skipping back on my podcast. So I think I've listened through about 3/4, 2/3 of that, and then just through the day, or even sometimes you start up in 5 minutes later and it's jumped back to the very beginning. Well, not the very beginning, like 5 minutes into the podcast. I don't understand why it does that. I've not had that with other devices other than the Chinese ones that I use. So would I have this or the Redmi? I think I would have this over the Redmi Note 3 on the sort of design and aesthetics front. Because they're both, although the Redmi Note 3 has a 4,000 mAh. Anyway, this video isn't really about which should you get. It's just about that LeTV, and it's a pretty good device. But just know what you're getting. Hopefully, I've kind of explained the pitfalls and the dangers. Love to hear your comments down below, so please do comment. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.